I am staring at my screen right now, watching Donald Trump stand in front of world leaders at Davos, and I have to tell you something. I've been doing this for a while now, analyzing politics, breaking down what's really happening behind the headlines, and what I just witnessed might be one of the most pathetic displays of American weakness I've ever seen from a sitting president. And I don't just say that lightly. Look, I need to be completely transparent with you right here at the start. This is my analysis. This is what I believe happened. I could be wrong about some of the details, but I don't think I am. And after reading through over 1,200 comments from people all over the world, Americans, Europeans, Canadians, Danes, I am more convinced than ever that what we just watched was a total, complete, humiliating surrender. Trump just got his ass handed to him by the international community, and he's trying to spin it as a victory. Here's what happened. For weeks now, Trump has been threatening to invade Greenland. Not metaphorically, not as some negotiating tactic. He literally threatened military force against a NATO ally, against Denmark, a country that has stood by America's side for decades, a country that lost more soldiers per capita than almost anyone else in Afghanistan when we called for help after 9/11. And you know what the world did? They told him to go screw himself. Now, Trump is standing there claiming he made some infinite deal, some framework for the future, and his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, who I swear must be living in a completely different reality than the rest of us, is out there spinning this as some massive diplomatic victory. It's not. It's a joke. And the entire world knows it. Let me walk you through what really happened here, because this story is about so much more than just Greenland. This is about what happens when a bully finally meets resistance. This is about what happens when America's allies decide they've had enough. And this is about the shocking realization that the United States, under Trump's leadership, is weaker than we've been in generations. So about 48% of the comments I read were from people absolutely celebrating Trump's backdown. Europeans, Danes, Greenlanders, even many Americans were basically saying the same thing. Stand up to bullies and they fold. One person wrote something that really stuck with me. They said, Trump is like the school playground fat bully that threatens the little kids for their dinner money, and the moment someone stands up to him, he runs away crying. That's exactly what happened. But here is what is fascinating. About 30% of the comments came from Trump supporters who are somehow convinced this was all part of some master plan. They are claiming he never really wanted Greenland, that this was all a distraction, that he is playing some kind of four-dimensional chess that the rest of us are too stupid to understand. And you know what? On the distraction part, they might actually be right, but not in the way they think. Then there's this third group, maybe 22% of comments, and these are the people who terrify me the most. These are the people saying, don't celebrate yet. Don't let your guard down. This isn't over. These are people who understand that Trump is a compulsive liar, that he changes his mind every 5 minutes, and that just because he backed down today doesn't mean he want to try again tomorrow. I think those people are right to be worried. But let's talk about what actually happened in Davos, because the contrast between what Trump says happened and what actually happened is staggering. Trump claims he made a deal with NATO about Greenland. Let me be very clear about something. You cannot make a deal with NATO about Greenland. NATO is a defense alliance. They don't have the authority to negotiate sovereignty over member nations' territories. That's not how any of this works. It is like me calling you up and saying, I just made a deal with your homeowners association to sell your house. It is nonsense. Denmark didn't even send representatives to negotiate with Trump about Greenland at Davos. There was no Danish delegation sitting down to discuss selling or leasing their territory. The Danish government has been completely consistent. Greenland is not for sale, period. End of discussion. So when Trump talks about this infinite deal, this framework for the future, what he is actually describing is the exact same arrangement that existed since 1951. The Greenland Defense Agreement already allows the United States to maintain military bases there. We already have that access. We've had it for 73 years. Trump didn't negotiate anything new. He just got reminded of what already exists, and now he's trying to pretend like he accomplished something. And here's the thing that really gets me. Trump stood up there and said, I don't know if NATO would be there for us if we gave them the call. Are you kidding me? The only country that has ever invoked Article 5 of the NATO treaty, the Mutual Defense Clause, is the United States. After 9/11, we called for help, and every single NATO ally answered. They sent their troops. They sent their resources. They fought and died alongside American soldiers in Afghanistan for 20 years. Denmark lost soldiers in Afghanistan. Canada lost soldiers. The UK, Germany, France, all of them sent their people to fight America's war because we asked them to. And now Trump has the audacity to stand there and question whether they show up for us. It's beyond disrespectful. It's historically ignorant. And it reveals something deeply disturbing about Trump, his understanding of international relations. Or maybe he understands perfectly well and just doesn't care. Maybe he's deliberately trying to destroy NATO from the inside, which is exactly what Putin wants. Let me tell you something that became crystal clear from reading these comments. The international community, our allies, they redone with us. Not done with America, but done with Trump-esque America. Done with the chaos, done with the threats, done with the humiliation. A commenter from Denmark wrote something that broke my heart. They said, "As a Dane, I will never forget this. Danish men lost their lives in your wars. Shame on you, America." And they rewrite to feel that way. We should be ashamed. Not of being American, but of what we've allowed to happen to our country, our reputation, and our alliances. Now, let me tell you what I think really happened behind the scenes, because there is a bigger story here that most people are missing. Trump didn't just wake up one day and decide he wanted Greenland. This idea came from somewhere. Multiple reports suggest that Ron Lauder, the billionaire and Trump-esque ambassador to Austria, was pushing this Greenland acquisition idea. Why? Because of the resources. Greenland has massive deposits of rare earth minerals, trillions of dollars worth of resources that are becoming more accessible as the ice melts due to climate change. This was never about security. It was never about protecting Greenland from Russia or China. It was about money. It was about Trump and his billionaire friends looking at Greenland and seeing dollar signs. And when the world pushed back, when Denmark said no, when Greenland said absolutely not, when the entire European Union rallied behind them, Trump realized he made a massive miscalculation. See, Trump is used to bullying people in business deals. He's used to threatening lawsuits, threatening to walk away, threatening to destroy people's reputations until they give him what he wants. That works when you are a real estate developer dealing with contractors and small business owners who can afford to fight back. It doesn't work when you re-threatening sovereign nations that have their own militaries, their own alliances, and their own sense of dignity and self-determination. The European Union made it very clear. They told Trump that if he took any military action against Greenland, they would consider it an attack on the EU itself. They would respond economically, diplomatically, and if necessary, militarily. And Trump blinked. Because for all his tough talk, for all his bluster about being strong and making America great again, Donald Trump is fundamentally a coward. When faced with actual resistance from people who can fight back, he folds every single time. But here's what worries me, and this is what those cautious commenters were getting at. Trump's ego cannot handle this level of public humiliation. He stood in front of world leaders and basically got laughed at. The stock market tanked when he made his threats. The international community united against him. He was forced to back down. That kind of humiliation is exactly the kind of thing that makes Trump dangerous. Because when he fails internationally, when he looks weak on the world stage, he tends to lash out domestically to regain his sense of power and control. I am genuinely worried about what comes next. Is he going to go harder after immigrants to prove he's still tough? Is he going to push more extreme policies at home? Is he going to find some other country to threaten, someone smaller who can fight back as effectively? Or is he going to circle back to Greenland in a few weeks and try again, hoping the world has moved on and stopped paying attention? Because let's be honest about something. Trump called this an infinite deal. What does that even mean? Infinite is just another word Trump uses when he has no actual plan. It is like his concepts of a plan for healthcare. It is meaningless word salad designed to make it sound like he accomplished something when he accomplished nothing. Several commenters pointed out something I think is absolutely correct. They said this whole thing was a distraction from the Epstein files. Trump promised to release those files. He hasn't. And the timing of this Greenland nonsense, right when people were demanding those files, is awfully convenient. Now I can prove that was intentional. I don't think Trump is playing some sophisticated game of distraction. But I do believe that when Trump feels heat on one issue, he instinctively creates chaos on another issue to change the subject. It's a pattern we've seen over and over again. And you know what? It worked. For 2 weeks, everyone was talking about Greenland instead of Epstein. Mission accomplished, I guess. But the damage Trump did to America's standing in the world during those 2 weeks is real and lasting. Every single one of our allies watched Trump threaten a peaceful democratic nation with military invasion. They watched him disrespect countries that have sacrificed for us. They watched him reveal his complete ignorance of history and diplomacy, and they remaking plans accordingly. Multiple European countries are now accelerating their plans to become less dependent on American military protection. They reinvesting more heavily in their own defense industries. They recreating stronger bonds with each other that don't include the United States. The European Union is having serious discussions about creating a defense alliance that explicitly excludes America. Think about that. Our closest allies, the democracies we helped rebuild after World War II, the countries we've been allied with for 80 years, are actively planning for a future where they can rely on us. That's the real consequence of Trump's actions. Not whether he gets Greenland or not. The consequence is that America is being pushed out of the international community we helped create. And for what? So Trump could look tough? So his billionaire friends could potentially make money off Greenland's resources someday? So he could distract from the Epstein files? It's insane. It's self-destructive. And it is exactly what Putin wants. Let's talk about this board of peace that Trump announced, because that might be the most Orwellian thing I've heard in a while. Trump wants to create a board to promote peace, and he wants Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu on it. Putin, who is currently conducting a genocidal war in Ukraine. Netanyahu, who has killed tens of thousands of civilians in Gaza. These are the people Trump thinks should be on a board of peace. It's not a board of peace. It is a board of authoritarians and war criminals. It is Trump signaling to the world exactly who his allies are and what kind of leader he wants to be. One commenter called it the board of scum, and honestly, that's more accurate. But let me bring this back to Greenland and what this moment reveals about American power in the Trump era. For decades, American power has rested on three pillars: military strength, economic influence, and moral authority. The idea that America stands for something beyond just power, that we defend democracy, human rights, the rule of law. Trump has systematically destroyed that third pillar. When the President of the United States openly threatens to invade peaceful allies, when he praises dictators and attacks Democrats, when he shows nothing but contempt for international law and norms, we lose all moral authority. And without that moral authority, the other two pillars start to crumble too. Countries are already moving away from the dollar. China, India, Brazil, they reconducting more and more trade in their own currencies. The European Union is accelerating plans for strategic autonomy. Even our closest ally, the UK, is hedging its bets and strengthening ties with Europe. Trump thinks he's being strong. He thinks threatening and bullying makes America powerful. But he's actually making us weaker, more isolated, more vulnerable than we've been since World War II. And the tragedy is that so many Americans don't see it. They watch Trump rant and rave and threaten, and they think that strength. They see him back down and then lie about making a deal, and they believe him because they want to believe him. But the rest of the world sees the truth. They see a declining empire led by an increasingly erratic and incompetent leader. They see an America that can be trusted, can be relied upon, and needs to be planned around rather than planned with. I want to read you one more comment because I think it captures something important. Someone wrote, "Don't believe him. He lies with every breath he takes. Would not trust him for what's been done and what he is doing. Unhinged." That commenter is right. We cannot take Trump at his word about anything. Not about Greenland, not about trade deals, not about anything. So where does this leave us? In the short term, Greenland is probably safe. The international community called Trump's bluff and he backed down. That's good. That's important. We should acknowledge that standing up to bullies works. But I don't think this is over. Trump's ego won't let it be over. He'll either try again with Greenland when he thinks people aren't paying attention, or he'll move on to threatening someone else. Maybe Panama, maybe Canada, maybe Cuba. He needs constant chaos and constant attention, and threatening other countries gives him both. In the long term, the damage Trump is doing to American power and prestige is catastrophic. Even when Trump is eventually gone, whether that's in 4 years or sooner, the trust that's been broken will take decades to rebuild. Our allies have learned that America can elect someone like Trump once, which means we could elect someone like Trump again. That makes us fundamentally unreliable as a partner. And in international relations, reliability is everything. So what do we do about it? Because I don't believe in just complaining without offering some kind of path forward. First, we need to be honest about what is happening. Trump isn't making America great again. He is making us weaker, more isolated, and more ridiculed. We need to stop pretending his chaos is strategy. Second, we need to support the institutions and people who are trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy and competence. Career diplomats, military leaders, intelligence professionals, they reworking overtime to reassure our allies and mitigate the damage Trump is causing. Third, we need to vote. The midterm elections are coming. If you want to see a check on Trump's power, if you want to see some accountability, if you want to see Congress actually do its job instead of rubber stamping everything Trump does, then we need to vote in massive numbers. And fourth, we need to stay informed and stay engaged. Trump relies on people tuning out, getting overwhelmed by the chaos, giving up on paying attention. That's when he gets away with the worst stuff. We can let that happen. Look, I started this video by saying I was watching Trump at Davos and feeling like I was witnessing something pathetic. Having gone through all of this, having read through all your comments, having thought deeply about what this means, I'm even more convinced. But I am also weirdly hopeful. Because what happened with Greenland proves something important. It proves that when the international community stands together, when democracies support each other, when people refuse to accept bullying and threats, Trump backs down. He's not as powerful as he pretends to be. He's not as strong as he wants us to believe. He's just a bully, and like all bullies, he's fundamentally weak. The question is whether we, as Americans and as global citizens, have the courage to keep standing up to him, because he's going to keep pushing, he's going to keep threatening, he's going to keep lying. But if Greenland taught us anything, it's that resistance works, solidarity works. Truth eventually prevails over lies, even if it takes longer than we'd like. So I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep watching, analyzing, calling out the lies and the chaos. And I hope you will join me. Comment below and let me know what you think happened with Greenland. Do you believe Trump's infinite deal is real, or do you think he got completely embarrassed and is trying to save face? More importantly, what do you think comes next? Because I guarantee you, Trump isn't done causing chaos. The only question is where he strikes next. To the people of Greenland and Denmark, I am sorry. I am sorry our country elected someone who would threaten you, disrespect you, and treat you like a piece of property to be bought and sold. You deserved better. You deserve better. And to my fellow Americans, we need to do better. We need to be better because the world is watching, and right now, they are not impressed. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if this analysis resonated with you. Subscribe if you want more honest breakdowns of what's really happening in our politics, and share this with someone who needs to understand just how badly Trump is damaging America's standing in the world. I'll see you in the next one. Stay informed, stay engaged, and don't let the chaos overwhelm you.